Sal, Zoran Mamdani, he's entering the ice age here in New York City. This is record-breaking number of days of deep freeze. It's pretty wild. How you doing tonight, Sal?
It's been a busy day. It's been a busy week for me personally. And in the news, I've lost count of how many things happened this week. And then we get this rollout today of these Epstein files. And you're finding out that not only, you want to, Jason, you've talked about many of these social engineers. And I think one of the number one social engineers of all time is Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon is all over these Epstein files, and he never addresses this yet. He wants to run for president, and we don't know. I mean, he was a Trump official that had ties to Epstein and then ran to his home, and no one asked questions on this, Jason. We have that, and also in the same files, Jason, the soccer mom, the illustrious NYPD police commissioner, who we already have a ton of stuff on in the last 24 hours, her father is now in these Epstein files, along with her brother, which it should ring alarm bells. And there's so much other stuff. A lieutenant was arrested and got suspended tonight while he was long fingers, sticky fingers, Jason. It's so much stuff. And I wore my soccer jersey tonight in tribute to the soccer mom. Because,
right, but wait a second, Sal. This is a ton of stuff. We've got to back up a second.
Yeah.
So soccer mom's father owns the Giants?
The one that owns the Giants, Steve Tisch, is in the Epstein files as of tonight. It's all over the place. And we already know that her brother is in the files because the residence that she sold over the summer was also in the files. And I think she either co-owned this with her brother, but that's disturbing to know that residence had anything to do with that individual, Jeffrey Epstein, which, I mean, look, she is, I don't know what her involvement is, but this doesn't look good, that her family's all over the place with this guy. Yet, we're supposed to believe she doesn't know him, she never met him, she doesn't know anything either. Remember, she worked, there's ties back to the police foundation, which is something her family has been involved in for a long time. There's things involved in the city. I mean, back in the day with Bloomberg, there was this, I believe it was like a mayor, some kind of charity that also
like
involved the Tisches.
Yeah, they had a mayor's
and
conference.
Harvey Weinstein, another guy that's involved. And all these people, Jason, they all clump together. And then there's more news in that Steve Bannon, who, again, you want to talk about social engineering. If anybody caused the day January 6th to happen, watch his show leading up to that. Green Bay sweep, whatever he called it. He was basically, he wanted an all-out war in the street. Yet he was never charged for that kind of rhetoric. Oh, First Amendment, all this stuff. But many people listened to his show and followed his rhetoric right to being an indictment, right? Yet he never faces, even when you think you have him, he somehow scurries out of there. And you don't know. I mean, this guy was titled as what did he say he was? He was a producer on Seinfeld. There's no evidence of this. He says it. People keep, where was he a producer on Seinfeld? He says he gets royalties. That's a lie, Jason. Everything he says is a lie. Like he's run for president. And he also testified against my friend Roger Stone in his trial where he perjured himself because clearly, Jason, at the House committee, he said that Roger Stone had nothing to do with WikiLeaks. He wasn't the middle guy for that. And then he went to his trial and said the exact opposite.
Yeah. Now, hang on a second, Sal, because you brought this up, and I think it is a pretty interesting thing. I like Seinfeld. Everybody who was around in the 90s liked Seinfeld. Let's look at this for a second.
Great show.
This is from IMDb. They're advertising Acura, but he's saying how Steve Bannon made a fortune off of Seinfeld. Donald Trump, this is an old article, I guess. Oh, wait, this is from The Wrap. Here it is. How Steve Bannon made a fortune. Trump advisor accused of anti-Semitism. That's old news. I don't know if they're accusing him of that anymore. So what this is saying.
But this was one of the things they said, yet there's no evidence of it. You ask anyone involved in that show that said, do you know Steve Bannon? Did you ever see him here? What are you talking about? He was living in Florida at the time. Remember, he had his ex-wife. He had all kinds of issues. The timing makes no sense. It's all propaganda. And yet again, this guy who is like the king social engineer, and he has a bunch of little guys underneath him doing the same thing.
Jack
Also,
Casoda.
Miles Guo this week. Miles
Well,
Guo,
he's in jail, isn't he?
Miles Guo was trying to sell one of his I think it was one of his residences, something in his real estate portfolio. Remember that he was tied into Steve Bannon, and Bannon was a co-conspirator in that case as well, an unindicted co-conspirator. This guy is all over the place. Yet the MAGA world, the sycophants in there who still think that Trump is a deity, and if he shot someone in Times Square, he can't do anything wrong, and that's okay. Those people, also, there's a cult, which is the War Room. That's the War Room posse. They actually believe every word this guy says, when everything screams of what you would say a social engineer or a two-headed snake, a double side of the fish because he stinks. I mean, this guy is all over the place, Jason. And all these files point to a whole new thing that I was screaming about for years, his involvement with Epstein. People saw him in Manhattan at Epstein's place. Oh, you're crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm always right.
He had that whole documentary where he was interviewing. There's another thing that I saw there, Sal, that was pretty confusing, is that apparently, I don't know, Elon Musk was emailing Epstein. That's a little weird, wasn't he? I mean, he had that whole thing where he's like, oh, Donald Trump was in the Epstein files, but wait a minute now, what's with that?
Yeah, now he's in it too. I mean, look, anyone who's worth any kind of money, when this guy was alive, it seems to be in his orbit. And it's like all these, but they are focused on Donald Trump. They're not focused on a guy like Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon should be ostracized for this. This guy said he wants to run for president. Then if you're going to run for president, Jason, if you're going to run for president, you need to be transparent with the people, right?
Steve Bannon can't win for president. He's way too polarizing.
But he's going to, he said, yeah, and he also smells like a fish. And we need to know, he's a hobo. He dresses like one. We need to know why he was with Jeffrey Epstein. He also worked for the Trump administration at the same time. He's never come clean. He's talked about the whole January 6th thing, and he's a victim. No, he wasn't, because you could have just went there and pled the fifth. Instead, you didn't want to answer a subpoena, which is a crime in this country. I mean, you got to. I had the same subpoena. Did I act like him? No. So this is the problem with this guy. He gets 1 million passes, and when you start to see that, Jason, what does that mean? He must be in some kind of special club where, him and all his cronies too get millions of followers and all this stuff. Yet me and you put something out, you're lucky to get 100 likes at times. So this is social engineering. He's one of the top, if not the top guy. And I don't care if he says he's right wing. I don't know. I think he's a greedy, grubby. He looks like a hobo. He smells like a fish. He's a dirty, rotten guy. And now everything's out on the table, Jason, and people should be talking about it. You should be talking about it.
Sal, have you met him that he smells like a fish?
I've only been within, I'd say, I don't know,
stinking distance of him.
Maybe 20 feet from him. He looked at me. I looked at him, and it's well known. I'm keeping my feelings aside. I don't like him. I see him from what he is, and it's a shame that many people are in a cult and see what they want to see instead of what he is. See what he is.
In addition to being extremely funny, the way you explain this stuff, I mean, people who aren't from New York are not necessarily familiar with a conversation like this, but you have a great way of talking about it. But you are raising a very important point, which is that it seems like no matter what comes up, it's always like, oh, Steve Bannon was a conduit between Epstein and Trump. They always want to get it back to Trump. And I mean, look, not even defending anybody involved or taking a side or saying I like or dislike either of them. It's just astounding to me how, same thing with this FBI raid of the Georgia electors, that election building or whatever. They're like, oh, now the FBI is going to have the ballots and they're going to change them. It's like, well, wait a minute. You've been spending the last several years saying it's ridiculous to think that somebody could change ballots. Now you're saying the second Trump gets his hands on him, he's going to change them. And, when it was Joe Biden, the FBI was beyond criticism. And now as soon as the FBI is controlled by Trump, they're going to cheat. So it seems like they're all sort of focused on just confusing people and, pulling the public this way and that so that nobody has any ability to make any kind of determination about anything.
That's right. And, and I also want to point out to the election thing. When they arrested Maduro, right, when they brought him in, they finally extradited him. Maduro knows that in his country, they use the exact same machines that they use here. So with that being said, I don't know what goes on in this country because everyone seems to be corrupt at all levels of government. But if you were to take the machines out of Venezuela, which could have happened, we don't know, but he has extensive knowledge about those machines in Venezuela, Maduro. I think there's a link that you could put together and say, those machines there, which were all corrupted, right, elections, and the machines that are used here in certain states and certain cities, there's a match. And I think this is really the game plan. If you see any progress, it would be Maduro's country uses the same machinery that's used in certain districts and certain counties here in this country. And that's where you would see the fraud or potential fraud or anything going on with election ballots, because there's always been this rumor. People showed evidence, then they laugh at you. They think you're conspiracy theorists. Here it is. Here's the machine from Venezuela. This is how they do it. This is what they did. Oh, the same thing happened in Georgia. Same thing happens in Arizona. Same thing happens in Michigan. See, and that's your link, using another country.
Yeah, I mean, but it's, as you just said, no matter what anybody says, if they don't like it, they just come back and say it's a conspiracy theory. So
that's what they love doing. Yeah, conspiracy theories.
More footage of what's his name? What is going on here? I got too many clicks happening, Sal. We got more footage of Bannon hanging out.
There it is.
Where is this documentary that Bannon was making with that?
That's what we're all wondering. It's like, listen, someone's got. I mean, why is no one? I was watching this week. You walked around, you were freezing to death. Your face was turning red when it was like negative degrees, and it's going to be that again this weekend. It was snow, and you were talking about all these different things. You had Where's Cullen, all these social engineers online, all this stuff. But here's a new thing for you to start pulling the tail on here and saying, look, Steve Bannon, who I still don't understand why these right-wing people that are all nuts in this whole, like, a cult of the war room and MAGA. What is this guy doing with Jeffrey Epstein? The more you read, the more you see these guys are a lot closer than anyone's ever perceived, other than myself. I kept telling you that. There's a couple of guys like me, but I was one that warned everybody. I even went in an X space and said that. And, the sycophants all over, oh, you're crazy. Like I guess I was wrong about Con Sofrito. I guess I was wrong about the soccer mom. You could keep throwing these things at me, but I always make fools out of all you. I told you Steve Bannon was involved with this guy, and it's deep. And it's a lot worse than people are being led to believe. And the more you read this, the more you're going to have your head scratched. Because, there's a head scratcher here, Jason. But this guy, you read the files, they're emailing each other. Oh, he was going to go to the island. That was next. I don't know if you ever made it. We need to see what else is in there. But so here's a guy close to Trump, allegedly, right? He was working for his administration. The hell is he doing with this guy? How deep does this go? President Trump, or Donald Trump at that time, he cut this guy off a long time ago. I think this whole hoopla, they are focusing on him because, this is what they always do. And trust me, I beat this guy like a piñata too if he's wrong on things. I don't hold back, the Eric Adams stuff, the casino. I'm not going to hold any punches when it comes to what Trump may or may not be doing. But he's not as involved with this guy as everyone else that's been on that list. And now with Bannon, it's a problem, Jason. Why is no one saying anything? Right-wing guys, all those clowns are worried about John Cullen should be worried about Steve Bannon. But that's one of their point. That's their hero. It's their hero, Jason. He's their hero. A big fugazi.
You're not wrong, Sal, but let's focus for a minute. have any of your inside NYPD contacts been telling you anything about Mamdani? Everybody is upset that he's not been able to melt the snow.
Well, listen, how can I say this? I told everybody when you were about to go vote that Zoran Mamdani, first of all, was taking, all kinds of money, foreign money. I mean, there's a lot there. I don't know if they'll ever look at it because you saw Trump and him are very chummy. So he's going to not prosecute him the way he didn't want to prosecute Eric Adams, obviously. So I told you that he would go to the state assembly where he was a state assemblyman, and he had the worst attendance there. Barely, I think he co-sponsored 3 or 4 bills, and he didn't write one of them, and he didn't show up for anything when he was in the state assembly. Nobody knows where he was. They barely saw him, and he did nothing. He was always going to be an empty suit. So if you're going to go on that, logic of how he has been as a politician, what makes you think he would be any different as the mayor of New York City? Charming guy. Like I said, when we did our Walking Down the Pier series, I said that Mamdani, he has his own style. He's a likable guy, so it makes him electable. But how he's going to govern will be very different than running a campaign and just being a social media star. And you're seeing this, Jason. He doesn't know what he's doing. I see his press conferences, and I said, what the hell is he talking about?
Well,
it's
he was
all word
releasing
salads.
videos every day like he's Kaz Daughtry or some kind of social media influencer, like walking up to the camera.
He's shoveling snow. I mean, Jason, people are dying. They're dead. Homeless people died during this last storm. And it's so cold out there, you might have some more deaths. And he doesn't know how to respond to this stuff because he's never governed. When he was a politician in the state assembly, he didn't do anything. This is who you elected as the mayor. I told everyone this, but once again, you want to blame me, scream about. You would have been so much better off with Curtis Lewa. But again, New York City needs to be beaten over the head like Bam Bam from the Flintstones beating you with his. That's what it takes. I don't know. This guy, I told people he's learning on the job, and you better pray in the next 4 years, because if this is, as you build, as time goes on, if he doesn't pick up on things quickly, you're in trouble. He's blaming Eric Adams for the budget. We know that.
Yeah,
we knew that.
He's saying there's a $12 billion budget shortfall, and his solution is to just charge everybody more taxes. I mean, that's completely idiotic. There is a huge problem with government overspending, waste. We've got all these nonprofits, just even the one that I identified, the Neighborhood Association of Intercultural Affairs. It gets $100 million a year from New York City, or at least it did in 2024. It's spending over $3 million on rent in Grand Concourse in the Bronx. It looks like you could buy the whole building for $3 million. So he needs to start looking at some of this stuff where the city is wasting money. He said he's appointing some kind of fiscal, somebody from each department to oversee waste. It's not going to do anything. I was down at the district attorney's office yesterday, Sal. It's like going to the principal's office at my public high school. I'm not kidding. I think New York City probably needs between 10, maybe more like 100 times more attorneys to be handling the cases. I mean, it's like Spain over there. At 1 o'clock, they take a siesta. Everything closes for an hour and a half. What business in New York City runs like that? And these people are getting 6-figure salaries. They should be working from 8 to 6, 5 days a week, if not 6 days a week. And it should be like any other business where it's a result-based compensation. You sit around, you go to work, they do nothing all day. Nothing happens in New York City. And, we're railing about it. People might say, oh, these guys are screaming and yelling and doing nothing. But the point is, there was some time, I feel like, where New York City ran well. And now everybody's like, oh, whose streets are streets? And I want health care and I want free this and free that. And it's everybody's right to have a hotel room. But the city is failing dangerously. And it's just, I don't know that they're going to be able to resolve it.
I think it's failing by design, though, Jace. I think it's what the overlords from above. Because, like I said, there's a permanent bureaucracy in the New York City, government, and in the infrastructure itself of government is a permanent bureaucracy that it doesn't really matter who's the mayor, who gets elected to this or that. Just like in this country, there's a president who's like the CEO of the country, the mayor's the CEO of his town, the governor's the CEO of the state. But the permanent bureaucracy runs the roost there, Jason. I mean, these guys, the people that are underneath manage to stay in those offices forever. Forget about getting elected. They just inherit. These people that get elected inherit these people that have been there 30, 40 years when I would kick everyone out. All right, congratulations, you're retiring right now. Or you're fired. You can take either pick. If you don't like it, I'll transfer you to Alaska. You could watch. You want to scream about Russian collusion? You could tell me what it's like in Alaska. From Alaska, call the president. Tell me, how is it? How is the Russian collusion? Do I want to see you from the window? Tell me what it looks like. That's what I would do. You want to do it as the mayor? Same thing. You could kick people out. You don't like it?
We do have something important to share with everybody because today we're going to be doing for the first time going to our sponsor exclusive segment in just about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
People are going to be able to join us on thesalgreco.substack.com. That is your new Substack page where people can subscribe to you and they can sponsor Sal. Now I'm on a different computer this week, so I'm not sure if I'm signed in there, but people can sponsor Sal on there and you're going to get access to the sponsor exclusive video. This is a great new way to support Sal. And, you know, this is difficult to bring people inside information from his years of contacts at the NYPD. There really is nobody else who's doing reporting in exactly the way that Sal does it. You had another great story today. Who is this fat jerk who's stealing? Somebody hires him for security and he's stealing. What is he doing with napkins, this guy?
This guy, he swiped it, at this. With a napkin, he swiped the charm that was missing off a $3,500 bag and put it in his pocket, right? Whoa. And the whole incident is caught on camera. So the manager, this guy's an idiot. 31 years on the job.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at this. He's wearing a community affairs jacket. Yep. He works with Joel Matola.
Your favorite. Crime Prevention Division. I mean, all these community affairs.
Crime Commission Division.
This is crime. Yeah, this is like, look, what is he doing? 31 years, Jason. You know what kind of money you would have built in your pension, and you have your variable supplement after 31 years. He's got 11 years banked. What the hell are you doing trying to swipe this thing? And he's caught on camera, Jason. There's no, he did it, Jason, which is unbelievable if somebody would do that. But every Friday, this is the second back-to-back fiasco Friday in the NYPD. First with what the soccer mom did, where she wants cops to freeze to death out there in mobile field force on foot, which is insane in 3-degree or less weather at night. And then you have this lieutenant go and do this thing on a, by the way, Jason, this is a paid detail he did this on. You know those cops you see in uniform, but they're doing security at at Wegmans or the bank? Yeah, that's what he was supposed to do. They need paid detail to stop him
robbing your stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you need a paid detail to stop him. I mean, what is he doing?
And we're joking about it a bit, Sal, but this is really, truly a horrible commentary because you know what? People say, oh, this person's 20 or whatever. They made a stupid mistake. Look at this guy. He's got to be 60. He's been on the force 30 years, and he's a kleptomaniac. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. This is ridiculous that this happened. And it's so unbelievable. I had to go back to the sources and say, tell me this is a joke. Somebody write this up? No, it's not a joke. It actually happened. And the order proves it.
And then what do? They fire this guy? What happens to him now?
At 31 years, this guy could just right now, just retire on the spot and not go through that because he's suspended. So he's suspending us. It's a petty larceny what he did. Or it could be a grand law. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I don't think they're saying he took the $3,500 bag. They're saying he took a $275 charm. And that's what he's caught on video doing. But, I mean,
he's charming.
He needs to now put in his paperwork and he could just retire on the spot. But he's not going to have his good guy letter, right? And I just don't know if they charge him with a misdemeanor or a felony because they could convict him of a felony right now. And, to throw away 31 years of work to do something so stupid on a paid detail, is outrageous. This is what goes on in the police department. People are like, oh, the NYPD, which was once the greatest police department on earth, has become a laughingstock, and people laugh about it all day long. Did you hear about this? Did you know this? Did you hear that? That's what it's become, and there's more. I mean, you had this thing too with the sergeant. I unveiled a ton of stuff on my show.
Well, we're gonna go into details on this in just a few minutes because we're just about at the end of our intro segment here. People are going to be able to join us for more on thesalgreco.substack.com. People can also get the show on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. So let's do that now. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in 5 minutes. We're going to go into more details of scandals with the NYPD, Zohran Mamdani's failure, every idiot on the Epstein list, and all this other stuff that Sal is going to tell us about. So stay with us, everybody.